Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're diving into something truly fascinating, a hidden connection between the music of Mozart, the actual pulse of our planet, and, believe it or not, the very wood our instruments are made from. Let's just jump right in.
You've probably heard all these theories floating around about a special cosmic frequency for music. But what if the most popular ideas don't even tell half the story? We're about to go on a little myth-busting journey to uncover a harmony that isn't based on some New Age belief, but on actual history and physics.
So our story really kicks off by looking past a theory that gets a lot of attention so we can find a connection that's, tangible, something you can actually measure. We're on the hunt for real evidence, not just a number that feels good.
Okay, check this out. On one hand, you have 432 Hz. It's really popular in esoteric circles, but when you dig into it, there's no clear scientific link to our planet's cycles. But then you've got 421.6 Hz. Now this is different. It's not just a random number. It's a historical artifact, a real clue that points to a much deeper physical rhythm.
And that brings us to our first piece of hard evidence. To find it, we need to travel back in time, back to the 18th century. We're heading into the workshop of a craftsman whose instruments were praised by none other than Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart himself.
Our key figure here is a man named Johann Andreas Stein. Now get this, in 1777, Mozart, personally visited Stein's workshop. He even wrote a letter to his father just raving about how brilliant and clear his piano sounded. And right around that same time, a very specific tuning fork was made in that very workshop.
And this is the number that sets this entire investigation in motion. The frequency of that old tuning fork from Stein's workshop was 421.6 Hz. Now that's way lower than today's standard of 440, and it's totally different from that popular 432 theory. So what on earth makes this number so special?
Well, to really get it, you have to understand who Stein was. He wasn't some mystic or a philosopher. He was a master craftsman, a hands-on guy, a practitioner celebrated for his practical genius. He just built instruments that worked beautifully. And having Mozart as a fan is pretty much the best proof you can get. Stein was guided by his hands and his ears, not by some abstract theory.
Okay, so let's put a pin in the 18th century for a second and jump forward to modern geophysics, because this is where our historical clue starts to line up perfectly with a fundamental frequency of our planet itself. We need to talk about something called the Schumann resonance. You can think of it literally as the Earth's electromagnetic heartbeat. It's a constant, measurable pulse that's always vibrating at a base frequency of about 7.83 Hz. It's been beating away long before any of us were ever here making music. So, this is the crucial part, and the math is actually super simple. If you take the Earth's heartbeat, that 7.83 Hz, and you raise it by 5 musical octaves, which is just a fancy way of saying you multiply it by 32, you get 250.56 Hz, and guess what that frequency is? It's the musical note C.
And here it is. This is the aha moment. If C is 250.56 Hz, what does that make the note A in that same exact tuning system? Well, the math works out to 421.39 Hz. Now, compare that to the historical artifact. Stein's Fusie's tuning fork was 421.6 Hz. I mean, that is an almost perfect match. This is where history and science collide in the most amazing way.
An alignment this close is it's too perfect to be a random coincidence. It suggests something much deeper is going on. It's a resonance, a physical relationship between the way we intuitively created music and the fundamental rhythm of the planet we live on.
So, we have the history and we have the math, but what does any of this actually mean for the music that we play today? Let's dig into the more poetic and maybe more profound implications for our instruments themselves.
Here's a really powerful idea to think about. The wood that makes a violin, or a guitar, or a piano, it spent its entire life as a tree, for decades, absorbing that constant, subtle vibration of the Schumann resonance. You could say that every fiber of its being is imprinted with a physical memory of that 7.83 Hz pulse.
So if you follow that logic, it makes perfect sense that an instrument would naturally sound its most beautiful, its most resonant, when it's tuned back to the fundamental frequency it grew up with. It's kind of like returning the wood to its home frequency, just letting it vibrate in its most natural state of harmony.
And this idea goes beyond just the instrument. It extends to the musician. When a singer or a guitar player or anyone performs in this tuning, they're not just making music, They are aligning themselves with the instrument, and through the instrument, with the resonant pulse of the entire earth.
Now, for all the musicians watching, I'm sure you're wondering, okay, how can I actually experience this for myself? Let's get into a practical guide.
Okay, so your standard tuner is almost definitely set to A equals 440 Hz. To try this out, you're going to need a chromatic tuner app that lets you set custom frequencies. The source we're looking at recommends an app called G-Strings for Android, but there are others. All you have to do is go into the settings, look for something called orchestra tuning, and then you can either set the custom frequency for the note A directly to 421.39 Hz, or you can just lower the standard pitch by about 75 cents. A cent is just a tiny little unit of pitch. Easy enough, right?
As we start to wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final, powerful thought. In music, and maybe in life too, we aren't just passive receivers of frequencies and information. We are active participants. We're generators of vibration.
So the ultimate question really isn't about believing in one specific number. It's about having an awareness of the rhythms all around us and the ones inside of us. Whether it's with an instrument or just with your own presence in the world, the real question is, are you contributing to the harmony or to the dissonance?